Servus Männer, it's Red Pill Germany again. Maybe you can still remember, this summer I made a video where I was hiking in the woods and I often do that. That doesn't narrow it down really. Well, anyway, I was talking about our dear guests from the Ukraine right now and their prospects here in the country and whether or not they will ever go back into their own country. I also told you that the Ukrainians actually do not like their people to stay here in Germany because they want them back to rebuild, or they also fear that they could lose a lot of their worker bees to good old Germany. And that was why the Ukrainians didn't want their children to become integrated into the German school system, maybe because they really dislike us and our government indoctrination camps. Well, I would agree with them there, but anyway, the general picture I presented to you in summer was that the Ukrainians want their people back as soon as possible, and they generally don't like what we teach their children in school, and that the Germans, on the other hand, they thought, oh, jackpot, now we have really well-educated, hard-working fellow Europeans that can create more pressure on the job market and depress wages further. And they're gonna pay for all the pensions of all these old people and for all these great programs that our state has envisioned. Anyway, that was in the summer. There is some new data that I want to present to you in this context. They did a survey among people who traveled here from Ukraine and who are now living in Germany. In today's presentation, I want to tell you briefly what we know about these people, so what kinds of people came to Germany from Ukraine, and also what their future plans are. So the Eastern exotics, the Ukrainians that came to Germany, they are fundamentally different from the Southern exotics that came here since 2015 mainly. Whereas the Southern exotics are predominantly young men, we have 80% women among the adult Eastern exotics that came to Germany recently. And the group as a whole are a little bit over 1 million people as of now. Of course, you know maybe that it is not illegal for military-age men to leave Ukraine at the moment. They are needed there to fight for Joe's bottom line. And while the brave men of Ukraine are fighting and dying for corrupt US elites, many of their life partners or maybe also wives took the children and went westward. After entering the EU supermarket, they have the choice between many different brands. They can stay in France, they can also stay in Germany or in Sweden or in Austria, wherever. But a lot of them, also Poland, a lot of them are actually staying in Poland. But a lot of them went to Germany, and I think we kind of know why that is. I think that single mothers just love Germany. And that is, I guess, also the result of a survey that was conducted here among 11,000 people from Ukraine aged from 18 to 70 years old. So as I said, 80% of the adults in that group are female, and roughly half of them came here with their underaged kids to Germany. So we're talking about roughly 400,000 single moms. I call them single moms because, they probably are single moms or they will be single moms very soon. They are in fact treated very nicely in Germany. 74% of them said that they have a private apartment here in Germany. 17% of them said that they live in hotels or in a pension. Only 9% said that they are finding accommodation in one of these mass facilities for irregular travelers. So that already shows you that they get some sort of preferential treatment here in Germany. What also surprised me is that a lot of them said that they choose Germany because they have family here. And I just really doubt that. I think this is a lie in many cases, because if you look at the numbers, you see that up until 2021 or even in the beginning of 2022, there were like 130,000 Ukrainians in Germany, and now we have over 1 million. So how can they all have had family here? That really doesn't make sense from the raw numbers. I don't really believe it. I think that they have some other reasons why they picked Germany. Of course, they have the lifestyle equivalent of a family with an engineer salary here. And who knows, maybe they find replacement for their old partners here soon. But now let's get to the most important question of this survey. What are their future plans? Do they want to stay here? So the survey found that 26% of them want to stay in Germany for good. 11% of them want to stay for many, many years. A third of them, so 34%, roughly a third, they want to go back once the conflict is over. 27% were undecided. And only 2% of them said that they would go back within a year. So if we round these numbers, we get a third wants to stay, a third is undecided, and another third, roughly speaking, wants to go back. But these are the numbers of now. I think, and I said this in summer already, the longer they stay here, the larger the proportion will be that wants to stay here because they find a job or they find a partner or their children are getting along in school well and found friends here, what have you. The longer they stay here, the more they will want to stay because Germany is one of the best countries for single mothers. They are living in a real paradise here. They have ideal conditions for their lifestyle choices that they made. The German taxpayer is subsidizing them and they get preferential treatment along the way, like in almost no other country on the planet. So that is one of the consequences of this conflict in Eastern Europe that you also have to bear in mind. A lot of the men are just dying in this conflict and a lot of the women went west to live here, either in Poland or in another EU country, but many of them, as I stated here, as I presented, many of them choose Germany and probably they will stay here for good. A third of them says that already, and that number, as I said, will grow in coming months and years maybe. Who knows for how long this conflict will still go on. And here I cannot help but notice that the elites who, of course, think that Germany is an ideal money-making machine for them, they own a lot of stocks in German companies, and Germans and German society, they are just perfect milk cows. You can really milk them dry. You can make them pay more for energy, more for housing, more for normal staple foods. There is no end to it. Germans are just working, and the elites are making bank. And that is probably why they had to come up with a little twist in this settlement or resettlement program of theirs. I really cannot help but notice that it is a very obvious matching situation that you found here. You have all these single young men from southern parts of the globe, and then you have all these young single mothers or these young women from Eastern Europe, and they all meet here in Germany where we need a lot of workers and we need more children and our companies need employees. We need working drones for the owner class so that they get dividends. Isn't that a match made in heaven for the future of Germany, for the heartland of Europe? May our factories be forever well staffed with hardworking, unorganized drones who don't complain, who show up on time, and who pay their taxes, obviously. Alright, let me know what you think about that in the comments down below. Servus, Kameraden.